Right, I call the North Aurora Committee of the whole meeting for Monday, September 15th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gaffino.
Here.
Trustee Curtis.
Here.
Trustee Gately.
Here.
Trustee Lowry.
Here. Here.
Trustee Nedved.
Here.
Trustee Salazar.
Here.
All right, thank you. Audience comments? Anybody else like to speak before we begin? All right, seeing none. Trustee comments? Seeing none. First item under discussion, Steve, item 1.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 is just a quick recap of our several-hour meeting that we had on September 4th, in which we discussed the future water system for the village. And tonight is the purpose of the recap is to simply go over a couple of the discussion points we had with the board to make sure that we fully have it right, that we're on the right track, so that we can then give this information to our consultants and engineering enterprises to take a look and make sure that when they finalize potential rate schedules and things like that, it encompasses everything that we discussed. So the first question was the lead service line replacement program. The way that we interpreted from the board, the feedback we got was, right now, if we disturb a private line, we're already paying for the private line to be replaced. The state law requires the line to be replaced, but we're paying for it. The board said for the 60 to 80 homes that may have private lines, that we will also continue to replace at full value without the resident paying any portion of the actual installation of the new pipe. And we'll come with you with a policy. We'll come to you with a policy that'll actually talk about restoration, and it'll spell out our obligations, their obligations, and whatnot. Okay. Item 2, we talked about the different types of the way that we treat our water. As of right now, we use HMO, or hydrous manganese oxide, to remove our radium. We are required to remove radium from our groundwater, and the board discussed an alternative, which is cation exchange. Cation exchange uses salt. Several towns use it around us. The byproduct of cation exchange is you not only get the radium removed, but you also have softened water. The village does not have soft water. Other towns around us do. So the issue with that, going back and forth with the discussion, was that there are some changes. There will be a taste difference with the water when in the hardness. You'll feel the difference in the hardness if we switch to soft water. The only other difference that we talked about is there is a upfront cost to cation exchange. Proportionally, I think we said it was about $1 million more, maybe $1.5 million when we redo the treatment plants, but that's on a project that's going to be significantly expensive, over $10 million probably. So the question is, there's an upfront cost, and there's probably an operational cost that is anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 or so a year for that. So we just found right now, it looked like the majority of the board said push forward with cation. Doesn't mean that we have to continue with that when we get to the point of making that final decision. It just means that they're going to now build it into their future plans and the rate schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, this one, the source water, we did evaluate alternatives to our current deep well aquifers. This was the city of Aurora, the Fox River, and Lake Michigan. Once again, that was the study was done purposely just to make sure that if we were going to invest tens of millions of dollars into our current water system, that both the longevity of that system was safe, but also that there wasn't a cost benefit to consider switching. After review, the board seemed to move forward with the staying on our current system, which is believed to be good for, I think it was up to 2050, where we know that the aquifer is going to be solid, and our plan was to basically look into it every 10 years or so and just reevaluate the aquifers. And the last one going forward doesn't really need to be talked about too much tonight. It's more or less all of this is getting put into the rates, and that's the big issue. So when we come back, we'll have a rate schedule based on those conversations we just had with the board. Staff will work with the EEI to try to do the best we can to blend those rates over time, to see where we can hold on some capital projects, which ones are prioritized first. And by doing that, we'll do the best we can to try to keep the rates as low as possible for the longest period. But so that'll come back as a whole separate discussion with the board. I just wanted to make sure the board knew that. That's pretty much it. I just want to make sure that we have it right. Okay.
Any questions?
Yep. No,
Nope,
sounds
good.
correct to me.
Thanks, Steve.
Mhm.
All right, move on to item 2, Veterans Memorial concept.
Thank you, Mayor. So item number 2 tonight is the Veterans Memorial update concept that we have. As we've been going through this, going back for about a year or so, we've been working with Tesca and Associates, and Jody Mariano's in the crowd tonight, and she's going to be walking us through the update. Basically, as a reminder to the board, we started off with, in our strategic plan, it talks about updating the Veterans Memorial. The mayor put together a small committee of a couple staff members, 2 of which are veterans, 2 people from the community that are also once a veteran. And the idea was to get in a room and just look at the current Veterans Memorial and see if there's any way we can expand upon it. When it was reviewed, it was determined that the current memorial needed to be updated. And as the village was looking to put an investment into it, they thought it was a good idea to start fresh and rebuild the memorial and then build from there. So over the last year, Tesca and Associates has really put together a concept. We've gone to the board once, showed you the concept to make sure that we were on the right track. That was just a general concept. So, hey, this is what it could look like. Now we're at the point where we're almost ready to bid. So before we bid out, and the project is upwards of over $900,000 in total estimated right now. So before we bid a project of that size, we want to make sure that we're 95% designed. We just want to make sure that the board likes the design, that you're ready to bid it out and go from there. The nice thing is, by some tremendous effort by our Public Works Department staff, our village engineer, also put in a grant. We were awarded a grant from the King County Board. It's through the Federal Community Block Grant Program. The
Awesome.
grant amount is $504,000. So we have a significant amount of money in grants that just has to, at this point, it just goes to the federal government for release. In the meantime, the remaining portion of the budget, if it comes in at that estimate or lower or around that estimate, we do have $675,000 in the capital fund for this project as well. So we have adequate funding put aside for this project as designed. And with that, I'm going to invite Jody up. As she's walking up, I will say the one thing that, if there's a couple things to point out that aren't 100% finalized, there are 3 segments of wall. On the wall, when you're facing the memorial to the right, there's a wall that has a 17-foot long section that does not have a finalized concept for it yet. But the staff is working with that committee. We actually have a couple ideas, and we're trying to really work on that to see if we can finalize something before we bid it. And then the other thing is we would like to incorporate some quotes throughout the memorial, but to do so, we're going to be doing it through boulders, and Jody is going to put boulders throughout the landscape so that when you're walking through, there will be some quotes on plaques. And then one other thing is the concept that the board saw originally had flower pots on the walls, but due to the type of wall we're looking to build, the same cement flower pots were not feasible anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to incorporate flower pots in the memorial itself, in the actual park area. So when you're walking through it, there'll be hanging flowers around you. I've already probably stole Jody's thunder. So, okay, Jody, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jody Mariano. I'm a landscape architect with Tesca Associates. Just like Steve mentioned, I think we were back out here last fall to look at a larger concept that looked at the Vets Memorial Plaza, also other plaza spaces along the entire corridor of Willow Way. So based on the feedback we got back last October, we're here to just kind of talk through the outcomes of the design. It's been a very collaborative effort working with staff and the committee, and we appreciate everybody's efforts, but we're really just here to give you an update as to where we are and get some feedback. Ultimately, this is the village's project, so we want to make sure it's reflective of what everyone here wants to see. So just like Steve mentioned, this is an air photo of what's out here today. We're here at the Vets Plaza along Willow Way. High level, what we're planning to protect, we're planning to protect the evergreen trees that run around the backside of the memorial. Within the center of the memorial space, all of the pavement would be removed. There are piers with bronze plaques on them, and there are some bronze plaques throughout the entire memorial area. All those bronze plaques would be salvaged and delivered to staff. They'd be reincorporated into the new plaza. The fountain feature that's in the center would not be reused. It's been sort of deemed inappropriate for reuse. It's not doing so well. There are 3 large flagpoles that are in the center of the plaza, or sort of at the top of the screen there. Those would be protected and would remain, and we'd be working around those things. Otherwise, the sidewalk that runs along Willow Way would stay as it is. There's some concrete repair that would occur. There's a couple of light poles that would stay as well. And then there's a couple of benches that are just outside of the plaza area that would be removed and provided to staff for reincorporation elsewhere. So this is an overall site plan of the proposed plan. So starting at the sort of the bottom of the screen where Willow Way is, there's an existing depressed curb, a curb cut that gives you access across Willow Way that would be rebuilt and meet accessible code. And then the plaza would be expanded. I think the way that it was discussed at the committee level was to provide wings, to give us a little bit more of an extended experience through the Veterans Memorial, to expand the walls and provide more opportunity for education and interpretation, and to memorialize the folks that are already memorialized in there, but also potential new plaques and interpretations. So there are 3 walls, just like Steve mentioned. Those are shown at the top of the screen. The North Memorial Wall on the left, the Central Memorial Wall in the center, and then the South Memorial Wall on the right. Everything that's gray along the bases of the walls would be a decorative stone that would be mortared into the pavement, just to allow people to get up close to the wall and view the plaques and the signage. In the center of the plaza there, you see the 3 flagpoles would be sitting in a new planting bed. We've got lighting that would be shining uplights on the flagpoles. We also have uplighting that's directed to the walls. And then in the center of that center plaza there would be a new fountain. I'll show you some images of what these things would look like. And then those 2 blue rectangles on the left and the right sides of that fountain are shade structures that have benches in them. Everything that's sort of colorful adjacent to those shelters would be landscape plantings and boulders. Boulders would have plaques on them, just like Steve mentioned, to incorporate plaques. So we really have this opportunity to kind of walk through the pathways, read things, sit down, learn things, kind of extend your stay. And then also it's large enough that it can accommodate memorial events and activities. I think we can go to the next one. So these are just some images of what's out there today. I think everyone's very familiar, but I do want to point out on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's an existing memorial plaque that has 7 names. They're really tiny, and we want to bring greater importance to those. And so each of those 7 names in the new memorial are proposed to have their own dedicated circular plaque that would be about 18 inches diameter, so much larger than what's out there today. There is another plaque that's just to the right side of that, number 6. That's an existing bronze plaque that has some relief to it. That would be reincorporated into the plaza, the new plaza. And then those military service seals that are shown up at number 3 in the top row, those would be removed from the precast concrete blocks and reincorporated back into the plaza as well.
And Jody, if I could say one thing too, one of the most important things we discussed, and Jody's going to go over the design, but you know we have the brick pavers, and the brick pavers have inscriptions that people paid $50 for about 15, 20 years ago in order to help fund the first memorial that's there now. We wanted to make sure that we incorporated, so Jody will tell you, but our plan is to incorporate every inscription onto the actual wall. So no one who bought a brick will lose that inscription. It'll be incorporated. We are going to have to come up with a program, but we have all the paperwork of every single person who ordered a brick. So we will look to possibly, it's going to be a little bit of work, but we'll figure it out. We're going to try to get the bricks back to the families too, so they can keep the original brick and the inscription will stay on the new wall.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
That'll work. That's very good.
Steve is stealing my thunder. All right. So
Sorry.
So to exactly what you just heard. So these are some elevations of the walls, and I've also got some enlargements so we can look at them more closely. But just to kind of give you a big picture, up at the top of the screen here shows that north, central, and south memorial walls. These are a combination of some are curved and some are straight, but it's intended to be sort of this very long display. People would be entering generally from that curb cut that I mentioned at Willow Way. And so right in the center of the plaza would be the signage that says North Aurora Veterans Memorial. Beneath that would say dedicated to all those who serve our country, and then the village logo beneath that. And then I'll talk through all the details of this, but I wanted to mention just some kind of big picture elements that are proposed to occur in the memorial space. One is, just like Steve mentioned, we want to incorporate the inscriptions that are in the bricks today and allow the village the opportunity to add more inscriptions in the future. So this set of photos, these two photos on the left-hand side of the screen, is to articulate the concept that we're thinking about providing. In this case, it's a silhouette of a tree, and then it has fasteners attached to this tree silhouette that all of the titanium plaques can be mounted to. So we'd like to propose the same kind of idea. Rather than a tree, it would be a waving flag. So you can see at the North Memorial Wall and the South Memorial Wall, a waving flag kind of motif. That would be the silhouette, just like the tree. And then there would be these curved, and they're all set up to be the same size to make it simple to construct. But the curved plaques would be mounted to that tree. And so or to the flag. And so just like Steve mentioned, staff has documented all of the names that are out there today. So we've been able to take that information in and do a test. I didn't even know that Mayor Berman was going to be honored tonight, but we picked his name because it had the most impressive set of stuff associated with him. So anyways, just to kind of show what that would look like, each of those plaques is intended to be 9 inches long and 2 inches tall. And the text size is 1/4 inch. So that's just kind of typical for memorial sizes because you're intended to get up really close to it to see it. And we've got a lot of names we want to accommodate. So we can accommodate just under 400 names total. And I think we had, what was it, 200?
We're roughly around 200 names now. So we actually, the
So we have
idea would
room
be
to
is when
expand.
we launch this is to ask people if they'd like to do another inscription program where we get new names added to the wall too.
Excellent.
So generally, this is intended to be a very respectful appearing memorial, to use colors like bronze and to use actual cast bronze. This motif of flag would not be cast bronze. It would be a painted aluminum bronze. It needs to be fabricated in a lightweight way so that it can be bolted to a curved wall and also accommodate all these plaques. So it would look like bronze. It would probably look the same color as this example of the tree. So that's one big concept that's happening in the wall. The second element is on the right-hand side of the page where that photo is shown. This was a concept for what would happen in the center memorial wall. We used to have 5 military service organizations. Now we have 6: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force. So with those 6, we propose to have 3 on each side of the central sign. And each of those would have the military service seal, a brand new one, and it would be slightly larger than what we have today, with a bronze frame around the perimeter. And then the inside inset would be a high pressure laminate sign that would be weatherproof, and it could have information or history about each of the military organizations. So the image at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen is just an example of what that could look like. So something that looks like a bronze plaque and a frame and the infill signage on the inside. Those are kind of the big picture things that are happening. Should I just keep going or should we invite questions?
Color scheme wise on those in frames. So as Jody mentioned, they'll have basic information. We're looking for things as simple as maybe some images, the purpose. So what is the purpose of each branch of the military one by one? But I was told by Jody, because she's the expert and I'm not, that they will all be uniform in color, and so that they will look appropriate for the wall, so they won't stick out, and just you want to make them sure that they actually blend with the kind of the reverence of the wall that we're looking at.
That's right. So we've talked about okay, so maybe just to kind of go back to the top elevation, and then we'll go to the enlargements. The North Memorial Wall on the top left, we talked about the flag. The 7 circular medallions on the left side of that flag would be those 7 individuals that are currently in that teeny tiny plaque that we looked at in the existing photo. And then the Central Memorial Wall, oh, thank you. We've gotten enlargements too that we can look at, but that's what those 7 circles would be. And then it would say on top to those of North Aurora who gave their lives in the service of our country. And then if we keep scrolling to the right, that's the painted aluminum flag with the titanium plaques that we talked about. And then if we keep going right still, this would be our center wall with those military service seals and frames and the infill posters.
What, I didn't catch what was in the square part in the frames. What information's in there?
In those frames right there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be intended to be interpretation about each of the military service organizations.
Oh.
So the one about the Army could talk about the Army, the one about, and so
Okay.
we know staff has been working to kind of assemble some information. Ultimately, this would go to the sign manufacturer, but this was intended to educate the community about the service branches.
You need to speak into the mic.
Oh, sorry, I'm standing so far away. Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's keep going. And then here we are at the South Memorial Wall. Same thing. This would be our remaining 198 plaques on the flag. And then this last section on the right-hand side is a placeholder for now. We've talked about several different ideas for additional interpretation. It could be interpretation and signage about military awards such as Purple Heart, Bronze Star. I will say too, and Steve and I have talked about this a lot. We've talked about this at the committee level. Many communities will have deliberate blank spaces in their memorials just to leave a placeholder for maybe something we're not thinking about right now. So that's okay too. But that's kind of a TBD for now, but would still want to be in the same family of bronze color and materiality. So these are just a little bit clearer images of each of those. I don't know that we need to go back through them all. These are some images of the types of products and furnishings that we have included in the design so far. So the fountain that sits in the middle of the plaza is intended to be this fixed granite sphere that you see at the top left. It would have a map of the world etched onto it, and it would have a hole core drilled through the center of it, so that water fountain would kind of cascade up to the top and then cascade down below, and it would settle in a basin at the bottom and then just recirculate. So it would be something that kids can get up close to, people can get up close to and touch it, but it's intended to be sort of a flowing water feature.
One quick thing, when we were talking to the committee and with the veterans on the committee, we specifically asked if they wanted interaction with the memorial and kid-friendly things and stuff like that. And the overwhelming consensus was do stuff that brings families down there. Let the kids touch things, because their idea was the more people that want to bring their families down, the more people that will, want to see the memorial.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So we also didn't want it just to be used for Veterans Day. So we thought if it could be a learning experience, and we're kind of still looking into that, to what that means. Maybe the library can have a day there where they bring the students over or kids and discuss, something about the military. We wanted people just to come, honorably, but to come there and sit and, just take in the moment. It doesn't have to be Veterans Day. We want it to use more. This is just one phase of 2 or 3 that we're thinking about. So it's like, hence the global spear there, where there'll be water and it'll entertain the kids, but also learn. And like Steve Bosco said, brings the families there. And that's what the committee is looking for, how can we use this better, and educate everybody about, the service, and also who died in line of, duty for our country and in our village. So that's kind of how we ended up.
One question about the sphere. So we talked a minute ago about the hard water in the village. And so will there be like a periodic cleaning, or is there going to be like, right, because we have a lot of calcium in the water that would obviously build up on that sphere over time. I can tell you from my coffee pot at home. And so will there be a periodic cleaning, or will like different water be used because it will just be recycled through the fountain, right?
Yeah, so the fountain, it ties into the main. We have a team of engineers and fountain designer that have helped us engineer this, and it gets treated so that it won't have the algae buildup that you see on the existing fountain today. I misspoke. It is not recirculating. It is a flow-through system. So there will be a bollard that gets activated, and that bollard will sit near one of these canopies in the plaza. So when you want to activate the water, you would hit the button. It would flow for a little while and then it would turn itself off. And so
Okay.
that's, that was the way that our engineering team recommended it be constructed. But yeah, the water would be treated
Okay,
for
thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, that's a great question. The other features in the plaza include 2 shade shelters, and they are a black steel frame with a robust fabric canopy that you see here at the top right. The wall that the plaques and the signage would be affixed to would be this precast concrete segmental wall feature. It would have a cap on it. It would have sort of a weathered look to it, like you see here in the image. It would be stained to look like natural stone. We also have other outcropping stones throughout the plan, so those colors would be similar to one another. And then we have some benches and trash receptacle as well in the plan. Landscape plantings, we leaned into sort of a patriotic theme to try and include as much red as we can. So we've got red maples, we've got red twig dogwoods. We've also got some other perennials in here, things that are all very drought tolerant and native, just to help keep maintenance practices from being too involved. So putting it all together, these are some renderings that just show kind of what the space would look like with all of these things together. So this is a view looking over Willow Way, and you can see the north wall on the left, the central wall in the center, and then the south wall kind of peeking out on the right with the shelter and the plantings and those boulders in the foreground. We do have lighting plans, so this would be a nighttime view. We have existing light poles that are near the entrance to the plaza. We have bollard lights, so you can see along the pathway, we have bollards that are placed throughout. We have uplights that are planned at the wall and also at the 3 existing flagpoles. And then this is just a view kind of closer in, so you can see the shelter off to the right and the fountain feature in the center. It all kind of drains into a basin and then, you know, it'll refill. The bollard would be off of the page on the left-hand side that would activate it. And then you can see the flagpoles here with the central wall behind it. And then in the evening time, the effects of lighting on the wall and the flagpoles here and the bollards off in the distance. The intent is really to keep the central plaza as clean and kind of open as possible, just so that we can accommodate larger groups and gatherings. So this is just another view. You can see in the front, in the foreground on the left-hand side, this would be an example of one of the boulders with a bronze plaque mounted to it, just like Steve mentioned. We're gathering quotes, so things that can kind of bring people through. We've got 5 boulders like these planned throughout the plaza. And then a nighttime view at this one as well. I think that was my last one.
Yep. The only other thing I had, and I mentioned it earlier, is that's right now, this is the cost estimate. Oh, sorry, it's really small. So you have the construction of the wall and all those features, and this is just an estimate of 746. 207 is the estimate for all the plaques, the signage and things that go on the wall and all of that. Does anybody have any questions? If not, the next thing we'll do is just finalize the quotes, see if we want to put something on that segment of wall to the south, and then at that point bid it out. And the goal was to get something at least at this point to Veterans Day so we can show everybody what we're looking to build. And then in the spring, we would assume that it would all be built the springtime. And the reason being is we don't think a lot of contractors will want to start in winter, then stop and then restart again. So our guess will be is they'll probably want to start early spring.
Well, I'd like to say it's absolutely beautiful. It's fantastic. I was just blown away when I first saw the pictures, especially the renderings. They're really nice. I hope it shows in reality as nice as these renderings show it. That'd
Usually
be
it looks
great.
better in person. I mean, but
But Jody cheats though. She puts all the flowers in bloom at all times in her pictures.
No, I agree. It's beautiful and what an improvement to the area. And I think that it will be a place that hopefully, we had talked also, Steve, I think we talked about that there was going to be a little bit better signage throughout the village, letting people know that it's there, is that also, I know that's not part of this, but is
Sure.
that, or are we going to do that?
We did add a sign, but it's not the best. It's a sign that just says Veterans Memorial with an arrow
Yes.
over on Oak Street. The phase 2 of this park plan was to add a potential piece of artillery over a little bit south where the entrance to Erickson Park is. And then the third phase was to put some more attention grabbing signage, benches and stuff along Oak Street. The idea is that they'll all be interconnected by a sidewalk, and you'll make your way from, north to south and wind through there. As far as in the meantime, and we can definitely look to see if there's something else we can do to get people in off of Oak Street when it's being built. So even if it's a temporary sign, but a bigger one, and that we do have some room.
How about signs like at 31 and Oak and
Yeah.
Randall and Oak, just pointing
Definitely.
that way and then, nothing fancy,
How
but
about
just
31 in John Street pointing it
yeah,
in
that
that way
too.
too?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Just make people aware of
I
it,
know.
but I thought we had spoke about that
The
before.
only
The state is
go ahead.
extremely picky when it comes to signs. I mean,
Oh.
if
On
it's a
31.
sign they won't allow, they'll tell us. So, I mean, we've tried to put a few signs here and there. They were up for a while, like when the golf course was there.
Specifically at John and
Yeah, then
31.
we get the notice from the state that you have
Oh.
to remove the sign.
Unless you put it in on John more.
But yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's a way to work around it. I'm sure we could probably put a request in and go
I
from
mean,
there.
it's a beautiful, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful memorial. We would certainly want to make people aware of it so they can come and enjoy it, not just those people who can see it when they come,
And
to
just
and from
one
their
little
homes.
thing to mention about phase 2. So we have been on a list for a piece of artillery for 6 years now. And we just got word at the end of last week. I got an email from the federal government. I guess they're changing the way that you request artillery. By the way, they have an active list on the website, and I saw we're up to I think we're 170th on the list. So we're moving up. We're moving up. But either way, it looks like they're doing a different way to request that type of equipment. So I have to have a meeting with our staff and see if we have to basically come up with a different way to
Is
request
that going
it.
to retain our 170th spot?
I'm not sure that list is going to remain at all. The way they explained it is they're not going to, the way that they're doing it now might go away completely. So based on that, we'll have to figure out how we reapply.
I just want to bring it full circle. So originally the idea was just to clean up what's existing there and add to it. But then when we looked at the brick structure and the height of it, and it really didn't pay honor to the veterans, it was really, really outdated. We had all the brick pavers in the ground. So if you had a walker or a wheelchair, the ADA issues, and just one thing led to another, then this is what we ended up with. But with the committee's help and Doty's help, and I think this will be something that'll be
Very good.
good for a long time and pay honor to our veterans and those that aren't with us anymore. So, and like I said, use it all year long somehow. Even in the winter, we talked about having somebody clear the snow. So in the wintertime, it doesn't have to be desolate. You can stoke them over there if the weather's decent, or you want to just walk over there and read or do whatever you want to do. It's like to have access to it all year round, lighting as well. So I think it'll be a nice
Sure. The
addition.
mayor had asked for American flags to be placed throughout the memorial for special events. So it's not shown in the pictures, but those are things that we can add in the landscaping, holders for the flags, and then we can put out flags for special occasions. The other thing is Natalie already has it on her list for next year. I told her, I said, hey, take a look, Memorial Day, Flag Day, 4th of July. If there's any opportunities you see, unfortunately, the holidays don't line up with the school year really well because it's at the end of the year in the summer. But our idea was to try to get some people over, as the mayor said, and it could be simple things. It could be a simple book reading or something like that where you're just bringing kids down there or whatever, but just for a little bit of remembrance.
Yep, looks great.
Grant comes in handy.
That's right, 100%. Yeah.
It's
All
really,
right. Anything else for Jody?
I have one idea that I got at Kentigny, and it's a history of the wars for that blank space. I wonder, that might be an idea you want to ponder.
Say it again, history of,
History of the war, of American wars.
oh, yeah,
At Cantigny, they have a great museum that does that.
that's a great idea.
Anybody else?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
See nothing else under discussion, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same sign. All right. Good night, everyone.